What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Clevatess, Season 2, Episode 8. So in this episode, so Naya is carrying Mary, who's unconscious. She's running from a dark beast. Now she's able to like injure the dark beast, but more arrive. So you see a bunch of like they're just getting wrecked. And there's like a flashback to some Mary's backstory where how she was the heir to like her great aunt. Basically. So like apparently there was an inheritance dispute over a lot of I guess relatives don't want Mary to inherit like the estate, whatever. So she left in order to gain power, I guess, so she could deal with that dispute. And Vordan started manipulating her. And Nate's able to kill some monsters, but Mary wakes up and then kills the rest. But since she used Vordan's power to do it, she gets weakened, and her soul, along with the dead students' souls, are they're drawn towards the school. And Ray fights Clint and asks to know who he really is, and and Clint notices that Ray seems to know whose face he's using, and so Ray reveals that the face is of a kid named Shiro, who saved Luna, and then basically is the human that form that Clint is using, basically, and basically saved Ray and his family from a dark beast. Basically, Shiro and Ray become good friends. And so Shiro had like, you know, basically tried to become a hero and then was killed during Clevatess' attack on Hedon. And Ray apparently wants to become a hero someday. And so Clint says he did kill Shiro, but what he wasn't really trying to. It just happened. Now Clint is way more powerful than Ray, but Ray still wants to avenge Shiro. And Clint reveals he is Clevatess. And Ray is able to distract Clint long enough for Vordan to steal the book. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting how that goes. So Vordan's making his moves now. Yeah, I thought it was a good episode, like the reveal about Shiro. So establish why Ray wants to fight Clint, and so stuff's coming to a head. It looks like with this school. So we'll see how the rest of the conflict goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Under 3, episode 8. So in this episode, um, so um, so you see Futaba, with her little bat friend, whatever. Like they're so like the aliens, like to her, and they try to aim at the bat, but she like runs through. So basically, intentionally using her superpowers, to, like try to go past or whatever. And then you have your whole battle where Segami's at. So and Kyu's revealed to still be alive. And then basically so yeah, you have the small three, they're still minor ones, like they're not so Piantaro's not really involved in the fight. The other two they're I guess waiting for him. So now but then yeah, their teacher and a bunch of students from like their world they arrive so basically the teacher basically had a theory about where all of them disappeared because basically the cops are looking for all the kids. They don't know what, and so he takes the disc and his like game console and test his hypothesis, and and so he and the students go inside the other world, so they're on a train. So we'll see what all happens. And yeah, Segami, was fighting like the Empower, so how he got used super speed to fight, that was cool. So yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Interested in seeing how, the rest of what Futaba goes, and the rest of this fight, you know, and how I guess the new the characters from the previous world, like that arrive in this new world. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Rare King episode 8. So in this episode, so Juhyun's able to get Jae-ha to work for him, and then basically there's like a issue. So yeah, so then after that, he's talking with you know basically, so you have all these talks with Irene about trying to arrange stuff. Like basically, there's a you know basically there's something like a forgery that's trying to he like he's like trying like there's like a forgery he's trying like Juhyun's trying to deal with, and so he has a lot of enemies, and so later he comes across this other other relic, and then it's he learns some of the backstory of the crow. So with like the crow and all that, basically uh so well I mean well so he's approached by Joe Kiara Clark, who's an American called the Queen of War, and so Clark wants a relic, wants Juhyun to get her a relic, you know. So basically, it comes across so like the relics, they actually have wills of their own. They're like, and so he learns like the basically some of the backstory of the crow, where the crow's like in prison. Like so when the tomb he come across was like it's prison, whatever. So and one of those like, do you tend to make us an enemy? Dude, I wasn't necessarily planned like befriend y'all, whatever. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. You have Sierra Clark coming in, so obviously the Americans are getting involved and all that. And then you have basically where the whole deal with the crow is, and you have the relics. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Saga of Tanya and the Evil, season 2, episode 8. So in this episode, so Tanya, is wondering about the funeral in Birun, and and she's told by Visha that High Command wants her. And so basically, all the three fronts, are dealing with some attrition issues. And so High Command has this, troops on the southern front pulled out, and basically, so the plan is so the initial plan is to move like through the kingdom of Ildoa, but the kingdom of Ildoa doesn't want the empire to go through due to some political risk that can happen. So the empire takes the sea route that's controlled by the allied kingdom. So the allied kingdom has like naval supremacy. So Tanya and the 203rd are tasked with basically they're assigned with attacking the fleet using torpedoes made by Professor von Schugel. So they're able to destroy a bunch of the ships, including aircraft carrier, and so they're allowed to rest in Ildoa for 24 hours, and basically is supposed to be ways like symbolically humiliate Ildoa, since they're an ally but not really committed to like the fight, whatever. So basically, it's like a giant middle finger, I guess the kind of pain, some sort of form of pain. That's what you're like. I can respect some pettiness like that. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Also regarding how they're figuring out the plan to deal with the war, the actual attack on the ships themselves. That was freaking awesome. And Tanya's interactions with the doctor, that was funny. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one.
And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.